So I want to get very specific, David. Why is Joe Biden president? What's the one big reason he's being inaugurated on Wednesday?
Ambition. He wants it. He's wanted it since grade school, since putting it in writing to the nun. And he's continued that way. You know, there's a story about Huey Long saying to his first wife that I'm going to get elected to the Senate in at the age of 30 or governor, and then I'm going to become president. And this is when they're courting, and he's a nobody. And it's the same story with Joe Biden. He has had this ambition his whole life, and he has had a persistence. He's had to put things kind of on hold many times when his campaign will crash and burn because of plagiarism or exaggerating his academic standings. But or because when he was on the shelf for 7 months because of health problems, a long time in the Senate years ago, or being on the shelf as essentially the wingman or yes man to Barack Obama, promising that he wouldn't run in 2016 or presumably ever again, but then gearing up because the ambition never died. Never underestimate a man who wants something very, very badly and who will do anything to get it.
Why did Hillary Clinton get the nomination instead of Joe Biden in 16, in your opinion?
Well, in 2012, Biden was nearly dumped. They were doing polling to see if a switch, it's like, Joe, get out from the vice presidency. This was akin to Nixon in 1956, where he was almost dumped from the ticket and he was offered a cabinet post, not even Secretary of State. But, they thought they could maybe do better with Hillary on the ticket as a woman, and what was Joe bringing to the ticket. And eventually they found out it's a wash, because it often is with vice presidents.
Okay, so there wasn't great enthusiasm for Joe Biden after Barack Obama left office. Hillary Clinton got it. And now, 4 years later, Biden's back and Biden gets nominated. Now, in our pre-interview, you made an interesting statement. You said, like Warren Harding, the infamous Warren Harding, his wife poisoned him. Biden was the available man. The available man. What does that mean?
Well, that was a title of a biography about Harding. And when all the front runners and all the bigger guys beat themselves to a pulp in 1920, Harding stepped forward as being the acceptable choice. And Biden became the acceptable choice in 2020 because the others were, for some reason or other, not acceptable. And the guy who was really most not acceptable to the Democratic Party and leadership and the big shots was Bernie Sanders. So Biden becomes the non-Bernie Sanders, the anti-Bernie Sanders, and that gives him the nomination. And then you fast forward to the general election, and well, he is the anti-Donald Trump, the non-Donald Trump. And it really is a referendum on Trump at that
Yes,
point,
that's what it
particularly
was.
with the COVID
No
and
doubt
being
about
in the
it.
basement.
No doubt about it. If COVID hadn't hit, Trump, I think, would have been reelected. Um, did Joe Biden do anything extraordinary in all his years in the Senate?
Well, he was noted for all sorts of things that would not normally get you the nomination in the very progressive times of the Democratic Party in 2020. He is Mr. Anti-busing as much as any national politician in the country. And then he's obsessively anti-crime, anti-drug. A lot of this talk now, we're hearing about mass incarceration and harsh penalties and mandatory sentences and bail forfeitures and all sorts of things like that. These are Biden brainstorms, and he's beating the drum on this during the Reagan administration. And the Reagan administration is saying, no, 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 no. These things are too tough. You're going too far here. But this is another thing, the Biden persona, where he's the tough guy. He's this swaggering, the guy who confronts you when you ask a question at a rally and insults your IQ or insults you. And this is a scary thing I think this is a scary thing for foreign policy, which you were talking about. How is that going to, Trump had his bluster, but when it came to, firing the first shot against a foreign power, he was never going to do it. He was actually very pacifistic. But what will Biden do, and what will other people do in response to him? A lot of wars are, because of miscalculation.
Yes, but
Because of
Biden didn't want to get
miscalculation.
Biden changed on everything. He's changed his opinion on abortion, on crime, as you pointed out, on everything. And Biden didn't even want to get bin Laden. He didn't even want to do that raid. I'm not worried about that so much. Final question, something I am worried about. It looks to me like Joe Biden has had a cognitive decline. I'm not a doctor, and I don't believe he's as out of it as some conservative commentators would have you believe. He looks to me to be cogent. He was at the debates with Trump, but it looks to me like he's not really in charge of a day-to-day point of view. I have said to my audience, I believe the Obama administration and President Obama himself will be suggesting a lot of things to Joe Biden. Do you see it that way?
Well, they had a good personal relationship at the end, even though, and Biden was, begging for an Obama endorsement. I think he craves his favor. I think he will listen to him a lot. And how far gone is he cognitively? I mean, we're going to see at 78 whether you go in strong. It's a crapshoot.
Yeah.
So it could very well be when you start out as on the bubble, not good at all.
But they'll keep him in the basement. We won't even know because the press won't report it accurately. David, thanks very much. We really appreciate it, your point of view and helping us out today. Thanks again.